similar to that. And we use that knowledge in two ways. We either wet felt or we dry felt. And I chose to do this one today because it's a good combination of the both. So, pine cone, another bit of knowledge, which I'm sure you all know, when it gets wet, it closes up. When it's dry and sunny, it opens out. So we're going to use that bit of information and we're going to wrap the opened out pine cone with a bat of wool fibre. So there's some roving, that is when it's all in one direction. You just have to spend a bit more time on that. Or the other version would be pre-felt, where this is actually needled on one side. So you could pull pieces off of that. And again, it's just a little bit further down the line. It's done a little bit of the work for you, but I thought this is probably what you'd have available. So this is bat of fibre, and we simply wrap it around Now, the first time you do this, it is quite difficult to get it even, but you do it a few times and you get better at it. It's like everything else. It doesn't matter if it's a bit uneven, you can sort it out later. So you can do this with very young children. It's a really nice, entertaining way of keeping the children happy. Now, wool takes up a huge amount of water. I think it's something like 5 times its weight. It just soaks up water. So when you start, it will really stretch and it'll feel baggy. Whilst I put that on relatively tightly, it won't stay tight. It'll kind of flop around, get comfortable with itself. We're going to use hot water and soap. So soap helps it, the fluidity of the fibres over each other. It's nice and smooth. It feels lovely as well, but it's also changing the pH. So I think the best bit of information I was given was by a spinner, and she said she uses anything that she'd feel comfortable putting on her hair. So that will feel lovely, but just be aware of how much lather, some people use washing up liquid. I think that's a bit harsh, but shampoos, they make a lot more lather than a soap. Now, I've got a buddy out there with a stall. Do any of you know Carney Soaps? It's the oldest soap maker in Scotland, and he has a stall here every year. And I've been doing country living fairs for a very long time, so it's always lovely to see Jim each time. So I've gone and borrowed a lovely bit of organic soap from Jim, and my method is I put it on my hands first. Other people distribute it into the water, so it's just held in the water. And then this little bowl is from another artisan. It's a hand-thrown porcelain bowl. And I'm going to have to turn the card over because I can't pronounce the name, so I'm going to try. Edith Uerhatz. If you go down one level and turn right, she's about 3-4 stalls up there, but a lovely little porcelain bowl with copper around. And I thought, because it's country living, we don't want any plastic. We'll have proper porcelain. Now, so I've soaked the wool, and I'm not applying any pressure. I'm just rolling it between my palms. You'll find it's different with different sized cones, and the cones are sometimes very, very round, and they're sometimes much more elongated. Both work well, but if it's your first time, I'd go for quite a round one. It's just a little bit easier to handle, and maybe the children will find it easier as well. Does anybody here actually work with children? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They will love it. And they can make all kinds of things out of it as well. So it's a way of making a vessel that you could use lots of different ways. The one in the book, it's a nest for little swallow chicks. And what we did was just cut a small hole. Rather than this one we're going to do is cutting it in half. We cut a small hole in the top to get the cone out, and then I boiled it up with some onion skins to change the colour of them, so they become brownish, earthish colours. If you put a mordant in, it becomes bright yellow. So you can either just put the wool and dye it, or you could resurface it with a different colour wool as well. So you could needle felt the finishing item.